guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Whistle. We've got two games remaining, and England are almost there. And we're going to break it all down right here. But joining me today, as always, Grace. Well, everybody,
Hello, 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 hello. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Tired. I'm always tired. You know what I'm like. Hence the no, I'm not going to show it because no free sponsorship here. Actually, no
Oh,
free
okay.
sponsorship. Right.
Take it serious today, Grace.
I know. What can I say?
Right, we've got two games to go. How are we going to get there?
Um, I think we might get there. I just don't think we win the final. That's where I'm at the moment.
Okay. Well, before we jump right into breaking the game down, this is Beyond the Whistle. If you've not seen this before, make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow, hit the bell icon, do whatever it is you need to do on whatever platform you are watching on. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by GME Media. Right, enough admin, Grace. Should we talk about it?
Let's talk about it.
Okay. I did end up in the pub for this one. So you are, and I was a few pints in as well. So you're going to have to be the more technical one of us both today. But what an atmosphere this was before the game, right?
Can I just say your live commentary throughout the evening was making me giggle, I have to say. And I did read out your final text to me, which we will say later. And it did produce a chorus of laughter where I was sat watching the football. So you entertained us for the night, Matty. It was very good.
Okay, well, I mean, you're all welcome to come to my gig if you think I'm that funny. If you could all just turn up and just walk around the room, that would be brilliant.
Right, how much of it do you remember?
Most of it, to be fair, it's so different when you sat watching the pub compared to like when you sat watching at home and you can actually just take it in a little bit more. Um, and it's amazing watching other people as well. And I think we'll get to it about the Spence penalty. It was amazing watching other people um, talk about that compared to what it is when you just sat watching it at home and you hear everybody else's opinions. But yeah, before the game, the atmosphere was incredible. Like I think I texted you quite early on to say like this has been building all day. Like this is you could tell people getting excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, I went out fairly early on Saturday morning, and I was wearing my England shirt because I was feeling excited, and there was so many people out just wearing England shirts. It was amazing, and it was just like that sort of silent communication of like nodding your head and smiling to somebody. That's what that's what it felt like just walking around a supermarket on Saturday morning. And it was just like, honestly, I personally believe, obviously, I'd love to be at the World Cup. Of course, that's the place to be. But the second best place to be during a World Cup, I think, is in this country. I think we all get really into it. And I just love it because it takes over everything. And even the people that don't watch football are talking to you about football. And that might affect me more because naturally I have more friends that don't watch football usually, just based on my gender. Um, but I just love it. Everyone's texting you about it. Everyone's asking you questions. Colleagues at work, they're asking you questions. It's just such a brilliant atmosphere during a tournament summer.
Should we talk about the other teams making it there before we jump into England?
Yeah, let's do that.
We've got France 2, Morocco 2, Spain beat Belgium 2-1, and Argentina beat Switzerland 3-1. Not really any surprises, was it, between them?
No, not really. It was especially that France game, it was fairly routine for them, wasn't it? I think a lot of us, even though the game hadn't actually happened yet, a lot of us expected to face Argentina in the semi-final. The game was on a couple of hours after I was finished. But to be fair, because of other decisions that have gone in this World Cup as well, I think a lot of us expected Argentina to be there. Um, and I have to say, I'm very much looking forward to the first semi-final as well of France versus Spain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think I've said from quite early on who I think will be in the final, but who's winning out of them two?
I think I'm going France.
Yeah. See, as much as I want to, I just can't see anything other than a France Argentina final.
Interesting. Look, I think I'm going to feel the most nervous. And I don't know what it is. This tournament, I felt amazingly locked in for the Mexico game. I was really like surprised in the best way possible with that performance. I sort of expected us to beat Norway, if I'm honest with you. That was the expectation. So I was obviously pleased that we did because there was every chance we were going to slip up. But I can't say there was an overwhelming sense of we're going to win the whole lot after we beat Norway because I don't think the performance, and we'll get onto that. I don't think the performance showed that. Um, but I feel this Argentina game is going to be it's going to be a game that I really feel that tournament nerves. You know, it feels like the first real test for us. I actually think there's a lot of big nations that haven't turned up as a unit as much as I hope they would do in France in this World Cup. I think France are probably the only lot for me that really convinced me that they could be world champions because individuals have turned up, no doubt. Individuals have definitely turned up. You can see that. Um, but the Argentina we're going to play on Wednesday, you are thinking of Messi. You are. You're not necessarily. Whereas if I was playing France, Mbappe would be in my head, but everything else surrounding that is also in my head. I feel if we minimise Messi and everything is uh,
I think
done properly, then I think we could be okay.
I think there was an argument with that with Norway though. To be fair, only like we said, if we can keep Haaland quiet, I think we can keep Norway quiet. And as it turned out, I think we did manage keeping Haaland quite well. And Norway was still a threat, but I think that was obviously our main sort of focus for the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think we did it well. Um, I thought Norway. Oh, I mean, we'll go into it, but I did think Norway looked leggy. I think the round of 16 game probably took it out of them, and I think they looked leggy. Um, I don't know. Argentina just feels like a if
It was,
Argentina don't turn up, we'll be all right because we just need to minimise Messi. But there is every chance that Argentina do turn up.
yeah, it feels like everything's going Argentina's way as well this tournament, doesn't it? There's a lot of speculation. I'm not going to say rigged because that's we're going into what's the word?
Conspiracies.
Yeah, conspiracy sort of territory there. But yeah, it does feel like everything's sort of going their way. But should we? I'm quite glad that they was taken to extra time by Switzerland as well. Obviously, we was taken to extra time, so they've got it in their legs as well. Should we start with the lineups again, and we'll break the game down?
Absolutely. So, a couple of surprises really in this. We went with Pickford in goal, O'Reilly on the left, Gay and Stones in the middle, and Conser on the right. Rice and Anderson in the middle, Gordon on the left wing, Bellingham at 10, Madueke at right wing, and then Kane up top.
Yeah, any surprises for you?
Conser at right back, not necessarily a bad surprise. I'm pretty sure I've seen Conser play right back a lot. Do you know what I mean? That's one of those things that in my head I thought Conser can play there. Do you know what I mean? So I thought for this game it was probably not a bad idea really because you could very easily slip into a back five if we felt it was necessary. You know, I can't say Gordon was a shock. I thought Gordon played well, and probably deserved to start. Look, I wasn't best pleased about Madueke starting. There's no doubt. I want Saka to start. Um, I I've just seen your face. I just feel that there's levels between them, if I'm honest with you. Um, and I can't lie. I'm hating this tournament really because I've never disliked Madueke as a player. I've never disliked him. I've always thought there's potential there, right? I've always thought that. This season not really convinced me that much, but then this tournament, I just feel really anti him, and I don't want to feel anti him because I don't necessarily feel like it's his fault. He's been chosen. I just, I am in the Jared Bowen should have gone camp over him because he is so different. Whereas Madueke is just a worse Saka, in my opinion, and that feels horrible to say, but that's how I feel about him.
I couldn't give a shit. I would rather start the tea lady at right wing than that player. I don't know. Oh my god! I stand by what I said in the last podcast. I never want to see him play another minute for England in this tournament. I was fuming when I'd seen that he was starting, and I was like, well, I mean, I jokingly said I was half tempted just not to watch. That was never going to happen, but Yeah, I don't want to. And I think again, he sort of backed up my argument because he looked awful out on that wing.
He looked like a one-trick pony, and that trick wasn't working.
That's all he's been
That's,
all tournament now.
yeah,
It's all he's been all tournament. Yeah, I want happy. I don't want to see him start in the semi final either, but I've got a feeling he might do. Especially, I don't think Saka's got a full 90 in him.
I don't think he does. I think Saka and Rice are nursing much bigger injuries than we think.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to break this game down for us?
I can indeed. Right. So it was all us really for the opening half an hour. I think we controlled quite a lot of it. I think a lot of us coming up to the hydration break felt reasonably confident. Like I said, I think Norway looked a bit leggy. But then out of nowhere, after that hydration break again, the controversy continues with those. After that hydration break, it was I don't want to butcher the name. I'm gonna say Shelderup because it's a really difficult name to pronounce. Do you know how to pronounce it?
You look at me as if I know. I can speak English. I'm not going to speak Norwegian.
Anyway, I thought he had a good game personally. This individual, I thought he played well. And look,
Do
it
you
was.
know?
Go on.
Do you know anything about this kid?
I don't know anything about him. I
He,
don't know anything about him.
the only thing I know about him is he looks about 10 years old.
He does, and he plays for Benfica. That's all I know.
Okay.
So yes, I'm sure he's not 10 years old.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
this,
They're getting younger. These players, man.
oh yeah, that's true. Um, he put what I think was a cross into the box, and it ended up just towering over Pickford, and Pickford was caught out, and it went in the back of the net. I mean, if he meant, like Lee Dixon said, if he meant that, he's the best player at the tournament.
No, yeah, I think it was a cross. I've seen people as well say about Pickford pulling his arm away at the last minute. I said to you, like, well, I think we both said it, haven't we? Pickford's not had his best tournament between the sticks for England, and I think he's just been caught out positionally. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's there, but he's one of them where he's going to claim he meant it. We all know he didn't mean it, but Pickford's just got his angles wrong, and it's just not gone in his favour.
And given, I sort of understand it because given the centre forward we were dealing with, you'd think that's the type of ball into the box that would, Haaland would absolutely eat up. Um, and I felt quite frustrated for Haaland during this whole game, to be honest with you, because there was a few situations. I've forgotten who it was. Was it Hegem?
Well, it
It
should
was
have been squared to him. It should have
should have
been
been
2-0,
squared to
shouldn't it?
him.
Should have been squared.
It would have been 2-0. It would have been 2-0 if it had been squared. And so I can understand Haaland's frustration. But, from a Pickford point of view, I can sort of understand his thought process. But you're absolutely right. He's just been caught out. Anyway, moving on, we're 1-0 down. We're feeling a little bit shell shocked because I would say we controlled the game reasonably well up to that point, gave them minimal opportunities. Once again, the Lord and Saviour that is Jude Bellingham, he has been phenomenal. I have banged on about him every single one of these episodes we've done. And I loved this goal actually. I loved it because the one thing that frustrated me with Gordon in the first half, and I say this, I thought he had a decent game, to be honest with you. I thought he had a really good game. But the one thing that frustrated me was he was potentially putting balls into the box a bit late. So he was having the fullback, but the sort of output wasn't good enough. This was a situation where he read the circumstance really, really well because he put in an early sort of cross in. I wouldn't say cross, it wasn't a cross, but he sort of slid it in early to Bellingham, who was running onto it. And as soon as Bellingham got the ball, I knew it was going to be in the back of the net. That's the confidence he's got at the moment. And yeah, I thought it was a brilliant goal.
Yeah, this to me, when I saw it, I kind of summed it up similar to what I said about the Harry Kane goal against Congo. Do you remember me saying as soon as he got the ball in that position, I thought there's no way this isn't a goal. And I think as soon as Bellingham received that ball and he shifted it onto his left, I was like, this is going in. It was a good little run and a great little finish, to be fair.
Really lovely finish. Really, really lovely finish. And it just look, I'm going to say the exact same thing I've said about him in the other episodes. He's just phenomenal. He has really grown into a player, and he goes on to be the Lord and Savior, doesn't he? I mean, what did you think of Bryce coming off at half time?
There's got to be something there, hasn't there? There's got to be there's got to be an injury.
Well, I think it's probably a mix of things because he said himself that he's carrying something, but there was also this illness thing, wasn't it? Apparently, he was in bed for 3 days in between the two games, the round of 16 game and the quarter final. So I didn't feel he looked his best, if I'm honest with you. I think some of the set pieces he was taking, he was barely beating the first man.
Mm.
I didn't think he looked his best, but he was still, he's the type of player you can generally rely on him to have a 7.5 out of 10 game minimum. And I still think he put in that performance. I thought it was risky to take him off, to be honest, if it wasn't necessary, because I do think we looked in the second half, I do think we looked more scrambled at points with him not there because he just feels like such an anchor in whatever team he's in. He feels like such a cog. Everything just goes around him. And it did feel like he was missing in that second half.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're gonna get that, especially when you're bringing on an attacking player like Eze for Rice. But it's like I said to you in the last podcast as well. People are forgetting Declan Rice has played a lot of football this season. There's a lot of minute in them legs, and obviously we've gone quite deep into the tournament now to the point where we're going to play 2 games regardless because we've got the third place game. So
Yeah,
look, obviously if we don't make it to the final and we play that third place game, do I see players like Rice etc. Scott playing? Probably not, but he's going to have a long time away from Arsenal in general anyway, for pre-season because he's played a lot of football and things are going to start going wrong when you've played that many minutes in a season.
100%, 100%. And I think actually, if we go on to win this tournament, a lot of us will look back at it and think, we had a lot of people carrying injuries. We had a lot of people out because of injuries. Actually, it's going to be a bit of a mastermind if we do go on and win this tournament because we have been plagued quite badly with injuries in this tournament from mainly those players that have played that many games this season. Just moving on, there was another. So Eze came on for Rice. Like you said, that pushed Anderson much deeper. I thought Anderson did the best that he possibly could, and I think he did it really, really well. Um, Sitting that bit deeper, and then we saw Saka come on for Madueke. I think he had to make that change. Um, but it wasn't us who put the ball in the back of the net first, even though we
Just
won the game.
just before we move on to it, was the first goal, wasn't it? Are people complaining about the ball hitting the camera wire? That was from the first goal, wasn't it?
Yes,
What's
there's
your
no evidence.
thoughts?
Apparently, there's no evidence.
Well, because now you can. Isn't there a sensor inside the ball that tells you if it's being touched? Like even if like your hair's being flicked off it, the sensor picks it up. And yeah, I don't know. Like, well, if there's no evidence, then there's no evidence. I
But
mean,
I
if there
believe
is,
it's.
then
I
we've got away with one.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I'd be upset, to be honest with you, because I don't like winning football matches like that. I believe it's a similar thing to if anybody watches cricket, the sort of LBW sensors, that type of thing. I believe it's like that, where that's really important in cricket, but it's a similar thing in the ball. Yeah, there's no evidence of it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, maybe, maybe not, because if there's no evidence of it, then I'm sure they would have chalked it off. There was no reason they wanted us to win over Norway, was there?
Well, no, I suppose not. But it's worth mentioning. Again,
Absolutely.
I'd have to actually look back at it in close detail because I've seen videos of it apparently bouncing off the wire and stuff, but not one that's given me like a clear and obvious.
Yeah, and I've seen quite a lot of videos and quite a lot of angles, and it's like, well, it hasn't touched the wire. Do you know what I mean? There's no sort of trajectory change because you tend to see that, don't you? You will see a trajectory change if there's been any sort of contact. You see it with deflections all the time. If there's any sort of contact, you're going to see a trajectory change, and I just didn't see that, to be honest with you. I might be wrong, but from my view, no evidence.
Yeah, so the two disallowed goals, the first one was Harry Kane offside, which yeah, it was offside, wasn't it? There's no argument with
I
that.
forgot about that one, so I'm glad you started talking.
Yeah, pretty quick after the Jude Bellingham goal as well, I think, wasn't it? Just before half time.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. And then, yeah, but I mean, well, look, it was offside, so there's no
yeah.
need to talk about it. Norway's goal. Do you want to talk to me for that?
Mm. This was a corner. This was a corner, and there was a lot about this that was potentially controversial. So I don't really understand why Anderson was marking Haaland, if I'm honest with you.
Hmm.
Didn't make much sense to me, but he was. And Haaland does shove Anderson quite obviously, but it's before the set piece is taken. So the decision here was no goal, but the corner retaken because it happened before the set piece. A lot of people expecting that to be a free kick to us because of the foul, but the set piece hadn't been taken at that point, so it goes back to that set piece.
Yeah, I mean, look, if that's the rules, isn't it? You know, it is what it is. I mean, I always find stuff like this weird. It's like I've said to you before about um, if what was we were speaking about something towards the end of the season, specifically about someone being offside, and a foul was made, but because the player was offside, the goal was ruled out with something. And I said to you, I said, well, that's just mental. Like if you, I can't remember the scenario. But again, this is something. This,
It's that phase of play argument, isn't it?
yeah, and this to me, like if a foul's happened, then if a foul's a foul, you should be given a free kick regardless. You know what I mean? It's if the ball's in play or not. I know they're trying to say like obviously the ball wasn't in play, so it has to go back to the corner. But yeah, but it was still a foul. So I don't know. It's one of them. But if that's what's in writing, then that's what's in writing. You retake the corner.
Well, it basically says, I'm going to punch you in the face before this football's hit, the corner taker's foot, but I'm not going to get sent off for it because it happened before the corner was
Yeah,
taken.
and that's kind of like something where would I've mentioned about the offside kind of thing as well. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's just basically saying like you've got a free hit now. But yeah, look, it is what it is. If that's what's written in the law, letter of the law, then that's how it is.
Yeah, what do you feel about the foul itself? Because I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's not a foul, it's not a foul. From my perspective, it's a foul.
Oh yeah, it's a foul. Like, does Anderson go down easier than he probably should? Yeah, absolutely. But
But you want him to, right?
yeah, of course you do. Yeah, you know, look, this is exactly what Arsenal have just won the Premier League doing. You know, like committing and taking these fouls. You know, it's part of the game now. But yeah, it's 100% it's a foul.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So I think the goal being disallowed was the correct decision from my perspective, and I say that as neutral as I can because I'm not. I am trying to look at it from the perspective of just a general decision rather than, we've done this before. We've sat here and said, no, that was a dodgy decision, even when it's gone in our club's favour or it's gone in England's favour. So we're not ones to just say it because of saying its sake. I do genuinely think this was a foul and the correct decision was made.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I know we've kind of already mentioned it already, but I just want to mention Pickford's performance again. Obviously, I've said about the goal. I think he was caught out with his angles. He misjudged them. Did you notice the one where it was going over the crossbar and he tips it over anyway? Do you know
Yeah.
what we talk about this sort of moment?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on this? Again, I don't think he's had a brilliant tournament anyway, but I mean, he's going to look back at that and think, I didn't need to do that. He'll have known that was going wide, surely.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel I because I felt a bit sort of 50-50 on this because there is an element of I'd rather he be safe than sorry. Do you know what I mean? I prefer
That
that.
was miles out though, wasn't it?
But and there is also the element of this is a team who are particularly good at set pieces. You're sort of giving them the, but I know it's slim, but they could then just rocket them and
Look, yeah, I
Pickford
mean,
tips them
look,
over and they keep getting set pieces.
you're taught, aren't you, when you're young, safety first. But this to me, again, it's different in the moment when you're playing a quarter final of the World Cup and stuff. But Pickford's not really one to panic for England, and this he kind of seemed a bit panicky for me, and I was like, it just seemed it was going that far wide. He didn't need to do that, but look, well, I think we spoke about Pickford's sort of troubles throughout this tournament anyway, and we've mentioned about like the goalkeeper coach. Obviously, he's different to what he was with the Southgate. Maybe that's getting into his head, or it maybe just don't work the same as what the coach did under Southgate. Is maybe throwing him off a little bit. And you mentioned the defence being in front of him as well, not being the same. So yeah, I don't know. There's contributing factors, but this again seems like there was just a bit of panic there from Pickford.
Yeah, and that's been the vibe all tournament, like we've said.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next goal? The Bellingham.
I do just want to add quickly about
Yes.
the substitutions.
Yes. Yes.
Some of the substitutions are a bit mad from Tuchel, but my dad and I were having this conversation. We quite like the fact that he shuffles his pack a bit. He's not. You almost can't predict what he's going to do next. I mean, he bought Reece James on for Anthony Gordon, which you think is mad. I mean, from my perspective, I pretty much knew that meant he was going to slip into midfield. Like that just because of what he's done in the past. That's how I felt. Like Rice had come off, that bit of stability wasn't there anymore. So he brought Reece James on. It didn't last because he then put Jed Spence on for Nico O'Reilly. So obviously Jed Spence went into the back and Morgan Rogers for Ezri Konsa. So Konsa's come off, Reece James goes back, all that sort of stuff. So I just feel he really moves his players about. Um, and so far, that's been a great thing. I quite like it, but I fear it could come and bite us potentially at some point.
I I want to talk about Jet Spencer around me in a minute. I'd seen somebody say if Thomas Tuchel had to pick somebody from the England squad to enter a Kobe Mainoo lookalike competition, he'd pick James Trafford over Kobe Mainoo. I was like, I actually forgot he'd taken him, and I'm just like, I forgot he's part of the squad. I think we've spoken about this before, haven't we? About him. Why is he not playing? Maybe it's not that deep. Maybe he just, I don't know. It's hard, but yeah, he seems to be doing whatever he can to sort of not play Mainoo. And like, I'm not bothered. Like Tuchel has got us to a semi-final, mate. You have earned your right to do whatever you want with this team. But yeah, it just seems like he's sort of shoehorn, shoe. What's
Yeah, shoehorn.
yes, that's it. Shoehorning players into places like you say, like Rice for Reece James, sorry, for Gordon, which was a bit surprising. But Jed Spence, I just want to speak about him because he was absolutely phenomenal when he came off with his cameo. He was fantastic from start to finish.
But we've said this the whole tournament. I think he's come on and really, a lot of people gave Tuchel a lot of flack for picking him. Now, I did mention him, but more from the context of I didn't pick Bowen because he's had a difficult season. More so is Jed Spence. You know, that was my argument. I never really had a problem because I think Jed Spence is a really good utility player. It's so useful when someone can play both sides. My God, that is useful. Um, and yeah, 100%, I totally agree. Came on, did exactly what I want him to do.
Well,
Uh, yeah, brilliant.
I think I've explained that to you at the time. I said I think he's taking Jed Spence for his pace because obviously for Tottenham have had a terrible season, so he's not picking him based on performances, but he's there for his utility. Like you say, he can play on both the right and the left, and he's just rapid. Like the way he closed down the keeper. I can't remember if he was already two up at that point or what, but that's a right back, by the way, Grace. He's
Mm.
doing what Gordon and Madueke should be doing. You know, closing the keeper down like that, and that was our right back. And I was like, I'm so impressed by him.
Yeah, and I think actually it suits Jed Spence's type of player that seems to suit what Tuchel wants to do because he's obviously playing Nico O'Reilly as well, which you would put in that category of whenever Nico O'Reilly can get forward and be a goal threat, he will do. And I feel like that with Jed Spence, maybe not so planted. I think he's probably more movement based. You know, there's situations where someone's trying to pick out a pass. Jed Spence can be absolutely rapid down either wing and be an option. But yeah, he's been brilliant, brilliant this tournament.
While he's been away, he's been linked with a move away from Tottenham. Everton are eyeing up a £25 million move for Spence. I think that's too low for a start. What I mean, maybe I'm biased, I'm a Tottenham fan, but my worry is now he has given himself. He's put himself in a position where he should be starting for a team. Um, I don't think he's going to get that at Tottenham, especially with the signings of Andy Robertson at left back, and obviously we've got Pedro Porro there at right back as well. Pedro Porro is a player that has played a lot of minutes for Tottenham, so maybe De Zerbi could use him a little bit more. But there's also rumours that De Zerbi doesn't like Spence as well. Apparently, he's not quite sure what he has to offer for the squad. I'm like, are you watching this World Cup? I think Spence is a fantastic player if he's happy to and he's willing to. Obviously, not a lot of players are. If he's happy to play for Tottenham and come on for them last sort of 20 minutes where he can be physically stronger than everybody else because everyone else is knackered, he could cause some trouble in the Premier League.
Oh, and I totally agree with you. I think he has sort of maximized his position during this World Cup, and he needs to use that. Um, he needs starting 11 football. He needs it just to solidify himself as not just an excellent right back that can play left back, but also to keep himself in the England conversation because it's ever changing with England, isn't it? And it's sad because tournament performances can often be swept under the carpet quite quickly. So I think he needs to capitalize on this and become not only an outstanding player in this tournament, but also become an outstanding player for his own club.
Yep, absolutely. Right, let's move on from Spence and we'll get to Jude Bellingham's goal.
Yes, this was early doors, wasn't it? It was again Jude Bellingham just being Jude Bellingham.
This was extra time, by the way.
Yes, we just entered extra time, 93rd minute, it says here, so 3 minutes into extra time. It was, yeah, Jude Bellingham just being brilliant again, just pouncing. You can't ask for more than that. We go into half time of extra time, 2-1 up, and then Norway do us a favour and they take off Haaland.
Yeah, this was mental. Who took the shot originally that the keeper saved? He sort of parried it into the path of Bellingham.
Um, oh God, who was it?
So look,
Um, is it Rogers? Was
it
it
looks
Rogers?
like Rodgers, but they're not showing me a close up.
It was a rare sort of spill for Nyland because I thought he had a good game again. Obviously he was the highlight of their previous knockout game, but yeah, I think it was an excellent long shot from Rogers that was sort of parried out, and Bellingham was just there to sort it in the back
Yeah,
of the net.
and it was a shame. It was Rodgers, yeah, but it was a shame to kind of see because like we highlighted how good the Norwegian goalkeeper had been in the previous game, and yeah, look, it's just hitting, it's just spilt, and it's just Bellingham's the first to react. He's like you said, he's just been on it and he's switched on this tournament.
100%. I almost think that's doing him a disservice by just saying he switched on. I genuinely think him and Harry Kane have been the reason we are still in this competition,
Mm.
and I will die on that hill.
And I think people who are regulars in your lives on TikTok, which Gracewell Football, check that out. Go follow, join her lives. It's a good community. But people of your life will be familiar with how much you love Strand Larsen, Grace. But this was a weird substitution, wasn't it? Like to take Haaland off when you're 2-1 down. I mean, to be fair, like I said earlier, we've done very well to keep Haaland quiet for all game. This is the quietest it looks all tournament.
Yeah, and this is the time where I'm going to prove myself as being a proper football fan rather than just a fangirl because I love that man's face. Don't get me wrong, and it was enjoyable at nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. It put a little spring in my step that he was on the pitch, but I can't say I was worried. For taking off Haaland, there was people being like, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous." I wasn't that nervous, if I'm honest. They took Haaland off. I felt like we could deal with Strand Larsen. I really did. And we did. And yeah, I can't say I was nervous because I just don't think he carries the goal threat that Haaland does.
No, nowhere near, nowhere near. And then Big Dan Bain comes on for Jude Bellingham. Well earned rest, I think, for Jude Bellingham. And to be fair, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there, about is his attitude in the right place for this, and should Tuchel even be taking him? I think even we'd had that discussion. Should he even be taking him to the World Cup? And once he'd taken him off, you could see he was sat on that bench. I don't think he was sat on the bench. He was sat on pitch side, just sort of eager, like he'd done his bit, and he was kind of egging the team on to get it over the line. You could see it on his face. And Dan Bain, I think everybody loves Dan Bain, don't they?
He's become a cult hero. Honestly, he's going to have a heck of a lot more fans going into next season because he's just become a bit of a cult hero from an England point of view. He's just done the business every time he's come on. But just to touch on the Bellingham situation, I there's certain elements to Bellingham's behaviour on the pitch that I don't love, but I can also respect them because to be as good a footballer as he needs to be a bit cocky. He needs to be that passionate. Um, and I imagine that I work with children, I work with different personalities all the time. I imagine it's a similar situation where there are just certain personalities that you make more allowances for that you help mold how you speak to them, how you put things to them, because you need them on side. Do you know what I mean? You need him to use his cockiness, confidence, whatever you want to call it, to your benefit rather than it working against you, because it working against you turns the whole attitude of the squad. Do you know what I mean? I feel like his heart is in the right place because all he wants to do is play football for England and be magnificent for England. You can see that. but I imagine he is an interesting character in that squad.
Show there's something else I want to mention towards the end as well, but should we just talk about the penalty that was given for England?
Yes, this is a very interesting one, isn't it? So Jed Spence again being brilliant. Go on.
Oh no, go on. I'm listening. I've got my opinion on it, but I'll let you finish.
Jed Spence being brilliant again. He just sort of dribbles his way into the box. And immediately I thought, this is a penalty. This is a penalty. He stuck a foot in. This is a penalty. I personally, and we might disagree on this, I personally think the right decision was made, and I don't think it should have been a penalty.
Yeah, so obviously in real time, pub goes mental. Everyone's screaming penalty. I screamed penalty. The second I saw it back, I was like, "This is getting overturned." I was
Yeah.
watching the game with my dad actually, and I said to my dad, "I said there's no way this gets given. There's absolutely no way." And there's people in the pub kicking off saying, "It's a clear penalty. It's a bit." It's not. It's just not. Like Spence again. It's one of them where I think we've seen this quite a lot this tournament. They've gone looking for it, and he stepped across the player. I think. I don't think it needed to be done either because Spencer got himself into a position where the defender was in trouble. The defender couldn't put a tackle in because one contact and Spencer goes down anyway. I don't think it needed to be made, but he steps across the defender and yeah, this was the right decision, and this is where VAR has become useful, and this is the positive of VAR. And if it works like this all of the time, no one would complain. But that's a conversation for a different podcast. But yeah, I was as soon as I'd seen him step across, I thought this is getting overturned, and I think the right decision was made in the end.
Yeah, I do. I think for me, I've heard the arguments of he's protecting the ball. I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I think he's looking for it. And do I blame him for looking for it? No. But when players look for it and the tackle comes in, no one's talking about him looking for it. When the player's looking for it and the tackle doesn't come in, it's really obvious that the player's looking for it. And you'd sort of taught that, aren't you, in the box to sort of any sort of contact go down, all that jazz. And you get it, especially with the modern game. But 100%, I'm with you on this one. Correct decision.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention. Did you notice Jordan Henderson was in a full kit?
Yes, and it did make me giggle, I have to say.
I get it, and I think even Jude Bellingham's come out and said like the only, I mean, manager aside, the one person he will listen to is Jordan Henderson in that England camp, and you can clearly, and this is, I think I've been very vocal on this. This is why we take somebody like Jordan Henderson. What are you doing in a full kit though, mate? Like you just don't, you're not coming on. You know what I mean? You don't need to be doing this. Like, it's funny. It reminded me of John Terry when he came on in full kit to lift the trophy for Chelsea.
It reminded me of 3-year-old Jimmy walking around Tesco. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I did. I got a little chuckle out of this.
And there was just one thing I wanted to ask you about, probably my final thing, was the Tuchel interview afterwards. It seemed to have ruffled a few feathers. I don't know whether you heard it.
Okay, so I've not actually seen the interview itself. I've heard that he said he wasn't very happy with the England display and that we could have gone to another level, something along those lines, right?
Yeah, yeah, he was basically saying we made it difficult for ourselves, and I'll be honest with you, didn't disagree with him.
Mate, I love it. I love the fact because I think like, and again, I think we said this in the last podcast, or we've said it in previous podcasts. Comparing him to Southgate, which I don't want to do forever, but it's the first tournament since Southgate, so the comparisons are going to be there. I think Southgate comes out and says, "Look, we won. We're moving on to the semi-finals," and he'd have been happy with that result. I'm so glad that I'm seeing this from Tuchel. Like, yes, we won, not convincingly, and I think we've kind of said, me and you've said this throughout the full tournament. England haven't looked convincing, and it's kind of good because I'd heard, I can't remember who it was now, but I've heard one of the pundits talking about knockout tournament, like a World Cup or a Euros, is about when you peak, and I don't think we've peaked yet. I don't think we've got anywhere near our potential of what we could play like. And that's if we can find another level right now at the most important time of the tournament, yeah, I'd be unbelievably impressed. And I'm glad to see Tuchel come out and say that he wasn't happy and he wants a little bit more from the players.
I agree. I totally agree. I think the thing that annoyed me more about this situation was the interviewer, which I've forgotten who it is, but
It begins with M,
I
doesn't it?
it was what
Sure, it begins with an M.
it's something I've forgotten. but he's very good generally. But he is a classic media man, I think, in many ways. And it frustrated me because he'd obviously banged on, and he mentioned mentality, and I agree with Tuchel that that wasn't the right word to use because he was right. If you want evidence of mentality, look out on that game because the truth is mentality got us through that game. You know that where they are mentally as a squad is where they should be, in my opinion. Where they are technically and tactically in that game was not where they should be, and I agree that it's, was it the mentality? No, it obviously wasn't. And anyway, they kept banging on about it, and then they interviewed Bellingham afterwards, and this is what I mean. And maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive to it because of what I do for a living, but this is what I mean by that sort of changing the way you communicate with somebody because you want them on side type situation. He then that same interview then goes on and basically tells Bellingham that Tuchel was disappointed. Well, that's not what he was saying. And I'm sure Tuchel would go into the change room and explain exactly what he's saying, probably with a few more swear words in there. But from that, it obviously upset Bellingham because he's just played, what, 115 minutes and literally worked his butt off in really bad heat. It was really tough conditions for them that they're obviously not used to. And it sort of wound Bellingham up, and I get that. And you could see he was like, whatever, da, 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 da. He almost looked a bit attitudey. And that really frustrated me because there's part of me that thought, no, 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 we need to just let this squad do what they need to do behind closed doors. Let's not start, breaking bridges and causing problems within the camp because it's like, oh, such and such said this. Do you know what I mean? That really annoyed me because I know how annoying that could be, and I'm sure Tuchel came away from it being like, cheers. And I imagine his next interview, if we do get through, or even if we don't, I imagine he'll maybe be a bit less honest in the next one because he doesn't want that going back to the next player that's interviewed in a certain way that makes him seem terrible.
It was Gabriel Clark.
There we go.
I think he's doing. I don't even say he's doing his job because it's not really his job to sort of be doing shit like that. Just get the interview. It's not your job to relay messages because look at what he's done. You know what I mean? You've relayed the wrong sort of message, or you've relayed the wrong tone of the message, and
Yeah.
I think this again can't speak. Kind of comes down to British media. We're just awful when it comes to our national team, and we're always looking for the negatives of stuff, and they haven't really got anything to talk about because. To be fair, yeah, you could talk about the performance not being great, but we're still in the semi-final, and we've done it. We've got to a semi-final by not particularly playing that well. I think the only game where we actually showed some quality was the first game against Croatia. Other than that, I think we've scraped by quite a lot of them. But like I said to you, if we're scraping by and winning, I'm all for it. If we're going to peak towards the end of the tournament, that's even better. And I think the media's kind of seen this and gone, we've got nothing else to talk about, so let's kind of not make something up, but run a narrative that's not really there.
Yeah, let's intervene. Let's cause something. And it really bugs me. It really bugs me that they do that because sort of I've sort of been worried this week. I'm thinking, what sort of an effect has that had now?
I
You
don't
know,
think it will. I don't think it's going to have an effect. I think Tuchel would have been aware that what's been said to Bellingham pretty quickly. I think as soon as they've gone back in the dressing room, it'd have been shut down. It'd have probably made a speech to everybody, and I think he'd have gone in there and he'd have said, "I'm super proud of all of you. Eat, drink, whatever you want. Let's go again in a couple of days." I don't think it'll have been shut down straight away. I don't think anything's getting made of that from Tuchel's point of view.
I really hope not.
I do think in the next interview there might be a little stab at it from Tuchel to the interviewer, especially if it's Clark again. But in terms of him to the players, I don't think anything's coming of that.
I hope not. I hope not. I just feel that with Bellingham was probably one of the worst people that message could have been relayed to in that tone because I think he is the type of player that you need to nurse in many ways and nurture because if you do that, you're gonna get a game-winning player, and it's as simple as that. And yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
No, I'm not either. That's just the media, British media, being terrible people that they are. But Yeah, I don't think anything will come of it. To be honest with you, I think it'll be shut down pretty quick. I don't think we need to speak about man of the match, do we?
No, probably not. No.
No, no, he's Bellingham, and he's just go on. Do you want to bring up what my match report that had you all in this?
Oh, hang on, I need to get it quote for quote. It was just phenomenal. At this point, like I've said before, I don't go to the pub to watch these games because my whole house stops. So we all just gather in one room and we all
Which
drink
I
and
love, by the way. I think that's incredible.
so we have a fabulous time because there's a nice little bit of tactics thrown in there as well, which is what I like to do, all that jazz. Anyway, at 3 minutes to 1 in the morning, Matty texts me.
I was about 11 pints and about 4 shots deep by this point.
He said, if I caught Bellingham in bed with my future wife, I'd tuck him in and give him a kiss on the forehead.
I fully stand by my statement. Uh, I mean, Harry Kane, you can jump in as well, mate. I love you to bits. I've not forgotten about you. A little bit quiet this game, but I'll let you off because you have worked your ass off for the rest of the season. But yeah, I fully stand by it. I think Bellingham was quality. And yeah, future lucky wife, I suppose.
I think that's a fabulous way to end the podcast.
I think it was incredible to watch the because look, I'm not I'm going to call you all out for it because you do it every single tournament. These women that come out during the England tournaments that think they know about football. Look, it's great that you're getting involved with it, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. I love that you're all involved. I would never tell anybody you're not allowed to watch it or you're not allowed to get involved. Of course you are. But the cheering that was happening every time he came on the screen, the same people was also cheering when Norway scored because they haven't got a clue what's going on, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it how they'd start like, "Oh yeah, look, it's England to play. I'm going to get so involved." No, you don't. You want to be a sleazy little girl and just perv on my man Jude Bellingham, and I don't appreciate it.
Leave the perv into Matty.
Yes, leave the perviness to me. That's my man. No, look, it's just good to see everybody. I love it when the nation gets involved, but I do find it funny. The women that get involved for it. And yeah, like I said, there was cheering when Norway scored because they didn't have a clue what was going on. There was just cheering anything. But yeah, when Bellingham popped up on the screen, there was a big sort of a big cheer from everybody.
See, that would wind me up. I literally would be like, shut that up.
Right,
I would
club
wind me
culture.
up.
I think as well. Just before we sign off, it's been very disappointing for chants this year. Obviously, we've lost Harry Maguire, so we've not got that chant there anymore. Southgate had some great chants. I think at one point, some old bloke sat in the corner was shouting at people to change the chant because they had one chant on repeat, which was basically something about it's coming home with Thomas Tuchel or something like that. But it was so boring. And it was weird watching it in the Weatherspoons. So weird watching the game in the Weatherspoons because obviously they don't normally show it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But that's just the British pub, well, the English public, and the Brits when other nations are involved as well. But the English, oh, we do love a tournament summer.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, it's good to see lasses getting involved in football without promoting their OnlyFans. It's mental, isn't it, that you can do both of them things. Grace, should we sign off
Mad.
and call it a day? Give us your prediction for Argentina.
I am gonna go 1-1 after 90 minutes, and then I'm gonna go 2-1 after to us after extra time.
Oh, you think we make the final? Okay, okay. Um, the way this tournament's going, I'm going to go for a 78th minute penalty from Messi. Argentina still win 1-0. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, I love the bluntness. It's brilliant, and I can't wait for something to happen in the 78th minute, and you text me and go, "See,
Yeah. See how if that does happen, which I hope it doesn't, I'd love for us to get to the final and win it. But I need to see England win something in my lifetime. But if England do get knocked out and we have to play that third place game, nobody's going to give a shit.
no." The viewing will just go. It's just gonna, yeah.
Yeah, 18 million apparently tuned into that game on Saturday.
I mean, considering it was a 10 o'clock kickoff, and there was also threats of delays.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not bad.
the last two games at 8 o'clock kickoff. Oh,
Heaven.
it's going to be great. Yeah, one of them is Sunday night. Grace, thank you for joining me, and we will see you on the next episode.
See you after the semi-final. Let's go.
Bye bye.
Bye.